Could you tell us more about that, like the Greyhorn tabletop, how that came to be? What you have done so far? Because I know you've been working hard on it, um, behind the scenes mostly, and like posting some things in the tribe here and there when there's big progress. But
Yeah.
just tell us, man.
I've actually been working on like just a world map of Thule itself, and it will have an island just off of it or a small chain of them. So Thule is going to be the northernmost region of this world. As you go further south, then Hyperborea, I got to make that map next. Then Lemuria. Lemuria is going to be kind of strange because it's going to be, um, well, I hate to say highly technological. We'll say high magic. A lot of high magic is going to come out of this. And it's going to
Yeah.
seem
Okay.
very sleek and very, very technological, but it's going to have its issues. Like it seems like a paradise on earth, and that's why everybody wants to go there. But it has
Hmm.
some underlying issues which are going to be kind of killing it. Hyperborea itself is going to be much like Robert E. Howard Tales of Conan, where you have a lot of kingdoms just over this big sprawling land, and you will see characters from other lands outside of Hyperborea. You will hear stories about their lands. Um, but more or less, it's going to be that sort of like medieval Europe, sort of the Dark Ages almost, where it was a very
Hmm.
very barbaric time. You're going to have cities where it's sprawling civilizations, but there's going to be problems naturally,
Yeah.
and because anytime you have this abundance and this very rich city with very powerful monarchs, well, there's going to be something under the surface that's rotting away, and
And
it's
it's going to draw
it
in all kinds of people, all kinds of folk.
all
Of course,
kinds, yeah.
everyone wants a taste of it.
Well, you're going to have the people who are seeing their opportunists and they want to exploit that, and you have people who are going to want to save these kingdoms as well. You're going to have barbarians. You're going to have, um, cults. You're going to have all kinds of stuff in there.
Oh, cool.
Similarly to Thula, Thula is not going to be true to the legends, because in the legends from Pliny the Elder, it was just one island, and a lot of people have a tendency to think it might be Iceland he landed on, and it would make a lot
Yeah,
of sense if it
I
was.
I heard stories about it, seen videos about it. It's interesting for sure.
Yeah. Now I've kept some notes. I've been kind of like mulling over things just as I'm like there are days where I'm at work where I'm not talking, I'm not joking around. It's because I've got this on my mind and I am just running over
Yeah.
things. Um, what I really want to do is I want to incorporate all nine worlds, if I can, into this one, continent here, and I want
Dude.
the players to be able to explore, Alfheim, Svartalfheim, um, Jotunheim, Muspelheim. I mean, a world of fire. The very model for Mustafar in Star Wars. You know,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
Niflheim, the land of ice.
Primordial
Stuff
ice,
like that.
primordial fire. Yeah. Oh,
There
that
you
would
go.
be
Yeah.
so epic. That would be so cool.
And think of what happens when your humans in Thula meet a dwarf and an elf, and they're like, "Whoa, holy shit!" Because that's going. There will be that the culture shock element because they've only heard stories. Now these stories are
Ah,
true, and they're staring them in the face. And a halfling, holy shit! What do they make of that? Well,
yeah.
he's not from there. He's from down in the shires of Hyperborea. There's a little place where they've settled, and he just wasn't happy being there and reading his books and drinking his tea. He wanted a little more. Now it's like, imagine like a Dane seeing that and going, oh, oh fuck, what now? Holy
Yeah.
shit! You know, he's met with this beautiful, very elegant, very slender elf that he's going to underestimate because they're not big and strong. He's going to see the dwarf and think, this is a miniature version of us. And he's going to see that halfling who's even shorter at about 3.5 feet max. 3.5 feet is like standing next to Scott Hall, who was like 6'9", and not many people know that.
Yeah.
Now there's that 3.5 foot to 3 foot halfling standing there, and now they have, of course, maybe these three cultures knew about him, but he didn't know about them. And it's like, oh wow, how do we reconcile this now? Because we have to work together.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna, everybody's gonna have to recognize in that party. Okay, well, the big Dane over here with the two bearded war axes, the guy's a badass. He does not back down from a fight. He's stout of heart. That's awesome. The dwarf's gonna love that. He's gonna, he's in the middle of a battle. Suddenly, where's the fucking halfling? Well, he ran. He kind of made his way around. Now he's assassinating that big thing standing in front of him. At least he's buying some time. And the dwarf, he's going to love the dwarf because the dwarf can make a stout friggin' ale, on top of his stout friggin' heart. And then there's the elf who's just like, he's already shot out both the eyes of that monster before the monster had a chance to really bear down on him. And now the monster's fighting blind. So it's like, okay, well, we're all badasses some way or another. How can we use that? Now the party can plan and that sort of thing. So it's going to be about a mix of cultures having to kind of find where they have common ground, where they can build, and how they can become legendary. And that's really the key part of it, because we're going to not only explore that, it's a game that's going to bring people together, because it's one thing that we all have in common. We love stories. And if you really want a good example of that, I've got two right now. Greg Lambert, he created something very similar called the Chronicles of Aeres. And I'll be honest with you, in all my years of playing D&D, I never, ever once considered playing rat folk who are about as tall as a dwarf. Okay. I've never considered that. But I read through Shadows of Padfoot Alley and Chronicles of Aeres, which he's actually sending me the books. He's sending me like physical copies. I read the PDFs. He's sending me physical copies. I was like, yeah,
dude, that's
nice.
Awesome. That's awesome, man.
Oh yeah, it's great. And I'll, if the chance comes up, I will actually do another podcast where I'll show those books off too. It's just a shame I don't have them yet, but it's fine. Oh, they're on the way, dude, and that makes me like. So, playing rat folk, these are small but very, very proud race. They're tough. They're not anything to be played around with. So if a barbarian walks into a hall full of rat folk and he's looking around like, barely anyone taller than the halfling. You got that one who's on a cane and he stands up. He starts giving them the. You don't know squat about my David kind of speech from Independence Day. That's one of those kind of scenarios that sparked in my imagination. I was like, wow, I could really go places with this. So that made me reconsider the type of character I play. And he's also got the Doom that came to Astreas, which is going to be very brutal, dark, gritty, sword and sorcery, straight out of Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian. It's going to be bloody. Aeres is a very bright and beautiful land. Astreas is a fucking beast. And I'm like, and I backed that on Kickstarter. It's the first and only thing I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And it looked so awesome. He put the trailer to metal music, and I was like,
nice.
Nice.
You got to.
And him being out of Georgia, I was like, my southern brother from another mother, man. This is awesome. I cannot wait. So if you haven't checked it out, the Doom that came to Astreas, or the Chronicles of Aeres. That's Aeres. Check those out. You won't regret it. They're awesome. I think it's Dueling Dragon. I'll get you the link for that. Also, one of my dudes out in Delaware, state, next door neighbor here, Pulp Hummock Press has put out Gods of the Forbidden North for old school essentials. That's something I don't have. I don't have that system. Basically, the only difference between this and old school essentials is nothing. Okay. They are the exact same rule set. The difference is that old school essentials is a little bit better organized. It has some better artwork, and they cleaned up a few things. They've tweaked it a bit. The problem is when it comes to availability, PDF is going to be everything. Physical books, you're waiting a while because of supply chain issues. So when it comes to availability, this has OSE kind of beat. And Gods of the Forbidden North, I was like, man, if he had made that if he had made it systemless, or he had made it for basic fantasy, and guess what? Chronicles of Aeres and the Doom that came to Astreas are 5th edition adventures. So if you have D&D 5th edition, give those a try. They're, in my opinion, just from the look of Chronicles of Aeres, it's great. It's really good work. The Gods of the Forbidden North looks absolutely phenomenal. So just because I didn't back it just because I don't have that system. I want to have that system in place first, then the adventure.